In a modern world where the society is becoming industrialized, people are not aware that by taking down an ecosystem greatly affects the animal's habitat. In this movie documentary, we will look closely into an environment, estuaries. Not many people realize how important estuaries are. So what exactly is an estuary? An estuary is a body of water that occurs when a river carrying fresh water flows into a body of salt water. Each day, as the tide rises, salt water is brought into the estuary. Fresh water comes down the rivers and creeks and mixes with its salt water. Animals. Thousands of species of plants, animals, and other living things are born, grow, produce, die, and finally decay in an estuary, and on the land that surrounds it. Plants in the estuaries are adapted to salty conditions. Having too much salt can kill many types of plants. Estuaries are full of decaying plants and animals. This makes the soil of estuaries rich in nutrients. Because the soil is so rich, lots of different plants grow in estuaries. The plants attract lots of different animals to the estuary, and those animals attract other animals to the estuary. Common animals include shore and seabirds, fish, crabs, lobster, clams, and other shellfish, marine worms, raccoons, skunks, and lots of reptiles. Birds are almost abundant in estuaries. Between the plants and the fish and the other animal life, there's lots of them to eat. Many migratory birds like the Canadian goose use estuaries as resting and feeding places when they migrate. Long-legged birds like sandpipers, great blue herons, great egrets, and green herons are common in estuaries. Their long legs are perfect for waddling in the water, and their long toes make walking in the mud easy. Their bills are adapted for catching and eating fish, worms, crabs, and other invertebrates that live in the estuary. Threats involving estuaries. Land clearance changes in land use may affect an estuary. Erosion on cleared land increases sediment loads which affects the 1. Clarity of water, and 2. Nature of sediments. Research suggests that since humans settled and started land clearance, greater sediment runoffs have caused increased rates of estuary infilling. Increased infilling can cause decrease in water depth. This, in turn, can 1. Affect the distribution of plants, animals, and their habitats. 2. Decrease natural recreation and amenity values. The spread of mangroves, loss of seagrass beds, and declines in shellfish beds in estuaries over recent decades are partly due to increased infilling of estuaries. Another thing involving threats in the estuaries are agriculture. Agriculture can lead to increase in the land amount of sediment, nutrients, and bacteria in estuaries. 1. Erosions and runoffs on agricultural land can lead to an increase in sediment rates. 2. Leaching and runoffs from land and stopped urinating and defecating directly into the water can increase amounts of plants, nutrients, and bacteria in the water. Increases in nutrients can cause noxious plant growth. Stock grazing and trampling of estuarine vegetation destroys important habitat and increases sediment disturbance. Estuarians vegetation can take a long time to recover from grazing or trampling. What can we do to protect the estuaries? 1. Don't dump rubbish in estuaries, including garden rubbish, which may include invasive weed. 2. Don't plant exotic species in our estuaries. 3. Prevent pollutants getting into stormwater drains and flowing into estuaries and coastal areas, which is washing your car, boat keels, motor, and trailers on the grass, not on paved surfaces. Fix oil leaks. Don't put petrol plants, surveillance, and garden chemicals down storm drains. 4. Avoid trampling across salt marshes, mangroves, and seagrass beds. They are sensitive to trampling and can take a lot of time to recover. The National Estuarine Research Reserve manages 100,000 acres of submerged land, coastal wetlands, and uplands. The mission goal is to provide a science-based, informed stewardship of these coastal estuarine research through research and education. We had conducted an interview with Kevin Cuniff from Florida Department of Environmental Protection Reserve from Rookery Bay, National Estuarine Research Reserve.
Has there occurred any great damage in the estuary at this year?
As we have experienced an unusually wet dry season due to El Nino, the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers have been released large amounts of fresh water from Lake Okeechobee to the St. Lucie River and Kalaskochee River. Estuaries in an effort to ease stress on the Herbert Hoover Dike and to provide flooding relief to farmers in the Everglades of agricultural area. This degree of excess freshwater release, which contains high amounts of nitrogen, phosphorus, and other agricultural products, is very bad for the ecology of these estuaries. Its flora and fauna and the surrounding coastland potentially include RBNERR estuaries to the south. This have been blooms of red tide. Within RBNERR, waters this winter, which may be caused or exacerbated by these freshwater releases. Red tide causes fish, birds, and mammals to die in large numbers, causes shellfish to be unharvestable. Estuaries are valuable for a number of reasons. Many countries and coastal communities around the world rely mainly on fish as their primary source of protein. Estuaries help maintain fish populations in the ocean, and without them, we would have fewer fish to eat. Estuaries are also natural filters. They filter the river water that flows into them, helping to keep our ocean water clean and safe for everyone to enjoy. Another important service they provide is protection from large storms and hurricanes. Large waves caused by these storms can cause incredible amounts of damage when they come ashore. Estuaries create a natural barrier that absorbs the energy of the waves and prevents them from flooding cities, destroying houses, and injuring people.
How do you monitor estuaries?
At Rookery Bay, we monitor several aspects of the system that addresses the most basic components of the system, up to the top of the food web. The system-wide monitoring program is fundamental long-term water quality monitoring program that Rookery Bay implants. SWMP is mandated by NOAA and all 28 NERRS conducts their water quality monitoring programs in the same manner with the same methods. This allows us to 1. Understand the status and trends of the water quality in our estuary, and 2. Be able to compare and assess how estuarine water quality is trending across the nation's estuaries. Collect water grab samples from each station to analyze them for a full site of nutrient parameters each month. We also collect hourly nutrition samples from a site on Henderson Creek over a 24-hour tidal cycle once a month. Water is certainly the lifeblood of an estuary, and understanding it is very critically important, but we also monitor high-level organisms as indicators of overall ecosystem status and health. This documentary was made by Jamila Derville, Vanessa Alvarado, Marcela Basilio. We would like to thank these individuals for making this documentary happen: Ryan Westbury, Kevin Cunniff, David Graff, Peter Stelzer, and Tom.